The Newlines Institute for Strategy and Policy and the Raoul Wallenberg Centre for Human Rights recently released a report in collaboration with over 50 legal experts, which concluded that, under international law, China bears state responsibility for committing genocide against the Uyghurs in breach of the 1948 Genocide Convention. How has the treatment of the Uyghurs at the hands of the Chinese Communist Party gone so far to become the flashpoint between China and Western democracies? Is it genocide, a crime against humanity, or, as the Chinese state media and diplomatic missions report, a pack of lies? In 2014, after a bomb attack in the capital Urumqi, the Uyghur people became branded as extremists, and Chinese President Xi Jinping set out the agenda that would lead to the systematic eradication of Uyghur society being pulled out root and branch. Xi called for nets spread from the earth to the sky to thwart further terrorism, reinforced by walls of copper and steel. He got it. The Uyghurs are the most surveilled people on the planet, and more than 1 million of them have been placed in internment or re-education camps since 2017. The list of abuse is chilling, from suppression of Uyghur culture, language, religion, and the rewriting of history, to internment, torture, sterilization, and the rape of women. Detailed witness accounts, satellite imagery, official Chinese documents, and extensive research form a substantial body of evidence to support it, regardless of Chinese obfuscation, threats, and denials. There are 152 countries, including China, who are the signatories of the 1948 Genocide Convention. Yonah Diamond, legal counsel for the Raoul Wallenberg Centre for Human Rights, describes how the report details China's breach of Article 2 in its treatment of the Uyghurs.
The Newlines Institute, it's a DC-based think tank, approached me a few months back, and other experts, independent experts from around the world on the region and China's ethnic policies, international law, genocide scholars, and we sort of all came together to consult and contribute to a report to examine China's breaches of the Genocide Convention. And indeed, we found that each provision of the definition of genocide has been breached. And we looked at firsthand testimonies, government official statements, government planning documents, reports, white papers, satellite imagery, the whole range of primary and secondary sources. And we found that the mass of evidence is compelling, convincing, and clear that China has breached Article 2, which provides the definition of genocide. There's over 13,000 victims that have been recorded, and we looked primarily at the firsthand testimony, so those who have made it out, which can be rarer than one would think, although we still have nearly 100 of those who have both managed to make it out and escape from the internment camps, but have also been willing to speak up at the risk of family members back home and the safety of themselves and others. So those are both rare and very dangerous, but the massive evidence that we already have is sufficient to conclude that the Genocide Convention has been breached. There is the growing challenge as to reporters, English-speaking especially reporters, being ejected from China, China not allowing an independent, unfettered mechanism to the region, and having manuals that order camp officials and guards to maintain strict secrecy over all information from the camps, no cell phones, not to be disseminated nor open to the public. So the state maintains a very tight, sophisticated seal on information. And even despite that, we have a mass of firsthand testimony that have been able to make it out and have risked their safety to to corroborate each other as to what is happening within the camps and the methods of torture and sexual violence and the extent of which is widespread.
So will nations step up to their treaty obligations and call out genocide? Will China reverse its actions? Or will the Uyghurs outside China become the last hope for their cultural survival?
And this is a matter fundamentally between states, where progress at the UN has been slower than one would expect. And, organizations have for years been asking for independent access to the region to no avail. China sits on the Security Council, so that blocks a lot of routes to justice. And it does not recognize the International Criminal Court or the International Court of Justice. So in my personal opinion, I see this as a powerful and significant report as a means for country to base their decisions between them and China now. So this is a matter between states. It's a multilateral treaty, and countries don't necessarily need the UN or an international body to pursue justice. They can take multilateral actions and hinge all their dealings with China on the genocide now. And now that they know that a genocide is underway, as according to a critical mass of scholars and independent experts, they have to grapple with this now, and they have to comply with their legal obligations under the only binding treaty that applies right now, which is the Genocide Convention. China is engaged in a disinformation campaign, undermining victim testimonies and other experts reporting on this. So it's important for governments first to stand up for the truth and to defend, not to engage in genocide denial. And I would hope that they would then start to act on ending complicity and preventing and punishing the crime, which I think first and foremost would require banning goods that are produced with forced labor from reaching markets around the world. That's a very clear way of upholding the system in the region. And 1 in 5 cotton products worldwide are sourced in the region, and so we know that the forced labor of Uyghurs and others minorities taints the supply chains of countries around the world, particularly the fashion industry. And so that's a really important way for it's really important for parliamentarians now to act and pass laws like the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act in the States. Now that we know genocide is underway, should push to relocate the Beijing 2022 Olympics. China should not have an opportunity to promote their image on the world stage when committing genocide. And I would hope that all dealings with China, really that countries and parliamentarians and corporations and those who have the power to stand up to China will consider the entire toolkit in conditioning all dealings on closing the camps and ending the atrocities.
Although the plight of the Uyghurs has been debated in several Western parliaments, including the UK, Canada, the Netherlands, Australia, and New Zealand, only the United States has officially declared genocide. China placed sanctions on 5 British MPs and rejected all of the debates. At a virtual event hosted by the UN ambassadors of the US, Germany, and the UK, and co-sponsored by Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and several other European nations, US Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, said,
"We will keep standing up and speaking out until China's government stops its crimes against humanity and the genocide of Uyghurs and other minorities in Xinjiang."
China's UN mission rejected the accusations as lies and false allegations, accusing the organisers of being obsessed with provoking confrontation with China. Under severe pressure from China, it seems unlikely that nations will rally to call China to account for breaking the Genocide Convention. However, as long as the diplomatic efforts are blocked, what hope is there for the Uyghur people in China today?